What is up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in and joining us on this special live episode of Juicebox Heroes podcast. I'm on your host PK. Dubon Fan Club President Chris is with us, and Browse. Fellas, news of the day is that Ryan Pressly has been traded to the Cubs with some cash, and we get back a 22-year-old low A right-hand pitcher from Colombia, Juan Bello. It's probably pronounced Bayo, but I don't know yet. That's the point of it is that Pressly got traded. Astros are on the hook for $5.5 million of the $14 million that Pressly was due for this year. So that's what happened about a few hours ago. So what's your initial thoughts on it? And let's get this thing going.
Yeah, man. I mean, so I honestly thought this was going to take a little bit longer than what it did. So I'm glad that Pressly took one for the team. And I hope that, he actually has a good year out in Chicago. I will always appreciate everything that he did, especially that run he had in the 2022 World Series. So again, thank you, Ryan Pressly. But, it was time for him to go.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Roz, you got anything?
Yeah, I agree.
I've got the stats for 22.
Yeah,
we'll
no.
go over in a minute.
I was going to say that man should never have to buy a drink in the city of Houston for the rest of his life. That's for sure. I mean, he came in, knocked it out when we acquired Hader, and they asked him to go into a setup role. He did it. He didn't complain about it. You didn't hear anything like that. He said, whatever the team needs, I'm here to do it. Now, we know that his second go around as a setup guy wasn't as successful, but at the same time, man, the dude's a closer, and he was nails for us for a really long time. So once again, good luck in Chicago. They did him right, by the way. I was looking at a couple of the extra contract deals. He is going to get his no trade immediately when he gets to Chicago, and then on top of that, because of the state taxes, they were even giving him a differential bump. So I thought that was pretty cool that they're taking care of him for that, and the fact that he waived his no trade clause. So thank you. And I wish you all the best while you're in Chicago.
Yeah, for sure. Just to kind of go back to what Chris and y'all and Braz, you were saying about his, 2022 World Series. I'm just going to give you what his postseason numbers for that year. Pitched in 10 games, a 0.0 ERA, 6 saves, 11 and 1/3 innings pitched, 4 hits, 13 Ks for that postseason.
It's not bad. It's not bad at all.
Pretty freaking good for a championship team. But I know that during last season, we've had several episodes where we talked about Pressly and was the move to the 8th inning, how is that affecting him? Because what we were seeing on the field was not the Pressly that we were used to seeing, right? And we didn't know if he did right by the team by saying, hey, I'll do whatever I need to do. That kudos to him for doing that. But we did see a different Pressly last year in a different role. But we don't that 22 series, if we don't have him with that line that I just gave out for that whole postseason, we might not have a 22 championship banner hanging up at Daikin. So I agree. I don't think coming into this offseason, I was coming into this offseason saying, okay, come January 26th, we're going to be minus Tucker. We're going to be minus Pressly and Bregman. We still don't know what the hell's going on. And still feeling okay about what's going on in 25. So clearly this opens the door for Bregman to come back even more, because this is more of a salary dump than anything. And I saw a few things on X where some people were complaining about what we got back from Chicago for Pressly. And someone else's response was, if you're complaining about what we're getting back, it just shows your casualness as far as you paying attention to what's really going on. And I kind of thought that was pretty good, because like I just said, this is more of a salary dump because you're really targeting Bregman at the moment. That's what we're looking for. We want to know, are we going to be able to re-sign him? Do we need to come up with a little bit more money? We've already heard what Altuve said over the weekend about what he would be willing to do for Bregman just because it's Bregman. So this thing just kind of opens up doors of like, there's so many moving parts with this now that Presley's been moved. So I want to see what you guys think about the Altuve saying he'll play in left field. What about Bregman? What are we thinking there? So yeah, what do y'all think? What do you think about the Altuve comments over the weekend?
Well, to go back to the Presley trade real quick, I mean, you have to understand what this trade actually was, right? You have a 36-year-old reliever who is a closer, right? And not to mention he's on a $14 million deal going into his last year of his contract. So I've read some stuff. It's like, well, they should have gotten multiple prospects. But yeah, I mean, like you said, this trade was to clear, I'm not saying cap space, but it was to clear the money that he was owed, right? No, I don't think any team was going to give up, even if it was one low end prospect, and eat all 14 million of that money. Like it reminds me of a handful of trades that have happened in the past with multiple teams. They've got this guy who's in the last year of his deal, so it makes him a lot easier to move. You eat a little bit of the money just to clear the remaining off the payroll. So I agree. I mean, like this was a I don't want to say this was a please take him off our hands. It was more of a please take this money off of our hands so that we can, whether it's we're going to pivot now to Bregman and going into that. I mean, in my opinion, Altuve is man, I love that guy. I mean, Altuve is starting slowly. He's as far as like he's on the same upper echelon with Biggio because we saw Biggio back in the day take a pay cut so they could re-sign Bagwell. And like, do I really think they're going to move Altuve to left field? I hope not.
Yeah, yeah,
But the fact that he's willing to go, a part of me wants to think that this is all like Altuve's campaign to get Bregman re-signed. And so it's just like I'm at the point now where now I'm so like this is almost like WWE. Like I'm so sucked into this storyline. Now I'm ready for them. Just now I'm all on board. Bring Bregman back. Like a month ago, I was like, "Hey Bregman, I appreciate everything you've done."
yeah.
Now
I
I'm
agree.
so sucked into this storyline. I'm like, bring him back. Let's go.
Bring his
We'll
ass
figure
back.
out who's gonna. Yeah, so I mean, I think it shows. Like I saw one thing that somebody posted. It's like you should find somebody that loves you as much as Altuve loves Bregman. So yeah,
Right.
man. I mean, it just goes to show. I mean, like like I think Altuve is also tired of seeing everybody leave as well. So I mean, Altuve's the goat, man. He's the goat here. So that's all I got. Bryles. I mean, Bryles was at FanFest, so maybe he can give us an insider's peek on that Altuve situation.
Yeah, it was actually really cool. I got to see when they were doing the interviews at FanFest, and TK was actually the one asking all the questions and interviewing the guys. But they had like just lounge chairs out in the left field, and then anyway, just interviewing them. And it was Pena, Altuve, and Jake Myers all at the same time, which was pretty cool. And then, but anyway, point being is they were talking about this like, hey, Altuve, what do you think about this? They were lining fans up to get in there and ask questions, and even the little kids that are like 6, 7 years old are asking, well, what do you think about Bregman and all this other kind of stuff? Or, what do you want to see for this season? And he's like, listen, I will do anything I need to if we can get him back. So I do want to caution, just like you were saying, as far as putting Altuve in left field. Let's rewind the tape and go look at Craig Biggio playing left field and Wrigley and see what that looked like, because that was not pretty at all. But did he do it? Yeah, he went out there because we ended up getting Jeff Kent and put him at second base. So what are you going to do? I mean, if it's going to make the team stronger, of course he's going to do anything. Heck, I bet we could talk him into catching if he won, if, for some way it was going to improve the team. But anyway, I thought that was really cool that his attitude for this is like, just like you're saying too, like he doesn't want to see anybody to go. He's done nothing but talk super highly of Bregman the entire time. So, I think he really, really wants him back on the team. The other thing I'll say about FanFest is they were rolling out players. I mean, from the entire, 28-man roster all the way through the 40-man roster. And the one guy that I never saw the entire time was Ryan Presley. Not to say that, I couldn't have missed him somewhere somehow, but at the same time, he just wasn't there. So I kind of feel like that they've really been working on this, and everybody kind of knew on the in the organization and in the front office that this thing was imminent. They just needed to get a couple of the kinks worked out to make sure that they were going to be able to get this trade off successfully. And I'm going to reiterate what I said on Thursday. Everybody was like, "Oh, well, what kind of package are we going to get for him?" And what I specifically said was, "Who cares? It's not the point." I'm telling you, the Astros would have been happy to keep Presley for this season, but specifically for the purposes of clearing cash to make sure that we could do something like bring Bregman back. That's what they're using this for. It's not that they wanted to get rid of Presley, just like we've all talked about. It's they wanted to do that money dump. That way they could spend it elsewhere. And Ryan Presley, we've already said it. We love you so much and appreciate everything you did. But at the same time, good luck in Chicago. You're going to get to close out there. And then, just like we've been talking about, we're going to get Bregman back because of all this.
Yeah. And then I think, Chicago comes to Houston this year. So, hopefully we see Presley, but not on the mound closing out a game,
We'll give him a video montage for sure,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, maybe he'll come in and blow a safe. I like that.
Come on.
It's terrible. I mean,
Hey,
I
man,
guess
I'm Astros through and through, man.
in that moment, I would take it, but right now, I guess.
Yeah, when he comes out, he'll come out. We'll get, like, hey, good job, all right, Presley. And then it's like, man, I hope he looks like he did last year. And then hope, he'll get a standing ovation. And then after that, once he starts throwing for real, it's going to be like, man, I hope he gets up 3 bombs.
Yeah, no, for sure. Hope he walks the bases loaded.
There you go.
12 pitches.
Yeah. So now that we're over this first hump of this epic storyline, so my question to you guys is, maybe I'm jumping the gun because I'm sucked into this storyline. What do you think? What is your estimation of the days that it takes before Bregman comes back to be an Astro?
DK, you take this one. Go ahead, and then I'll get it next.
Oh, I was passing the buck to you.
All right, fine. Here's my personal opinion on it, and I know we all want this to happen like tomorrow, right? But Bregman hired Scott Boras. Scott Boras is, for lack of better words, a pain in the ass when it comes to negotiations with contracts, front offices, all that kind of stuff. And he already understands exactly what we're trying to do, and he's going to try to squeeze every nickel out of this he possibly can. So I think it's going to happen before we get to spring training, which, by the way, pitchers and catchers report in 15 days. But I don't think it's going to happen this week. I think it's going to take a little bit longer than that to actually get this going. And if they don't get it by pitchers and catchers, which they should, and I truly think that they are, then this is just going to turn into a debacle. And I don't want to see that at all. So my professional opinion on this is that they're going to get it done in the next 15 days, but it's not going to be tomorrow. Okay. And I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, so I remember seeing something a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and I wish I could remember who posted it, but it was basically predicting that, and obviously this would have been before all this stuff had happened, but by March 1st, that Bregman would be back with the Astros. And that would, and I forget what else. So I'm going to go with March 1st.
Okay.
This is a completely uneducated guess. It is going off of a post that I saw on X weeks ago. I agree with Bryles. Like, I think everybody wants this now that this deal with Presley is here and there and gone. Presley's on to Chicago. We know what we're doing with it now. I think everybody wants this to be over with tomorrow. Also agree with the fact that Scott Boras is his agent. I think there's Boston probably still has a say in all this thing if they want to. I feel like it's gonna be drug out a little bit longer than we really want. So again, I will go with March 1st. I'm hoping for sooner, but that would be for just throwing a date out there to see what sticks on the wall. Let's go with March 1 for me.
Okay. I think it's going to be Thursday. And here's why.
Okay.
So here's the thing. Browns, you talked about Scott Boras. Yeah, Boras, blah, 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 blah. Right? Let's be honest. Every report we've read said Boston doesn't want to go above 4 years. Right?
Yep.
They have zero leverage now. Their leverage is out the window. Like if this was November 12th, maybe their leverage would be a lot more in their camp. The thing is that no one outside of the Astros has offered Bregman anything more than 4 years. The Astros, what is it, 6 at 158?
Yes.
So, like I said, they have the Boras and Bregman camp have zero leverage left. Everybody's already, pivoted from Bregman and somebody else. You look at Boston, I forgot who they signed. They signed somebody. You look at Detroit, they went go get Gleyber Torres. I just don't think I don't think they have the momentum on their side. Like I said, no other team is offering Bregman more than 3 or 4 years, and Bregman doesn't want a 3 or 4 year. So I think it's going to get done. I think the money may move up to 175. I think it's going to be Thursday. The Astros signed Bregman 6 years, 175. This entire debacle is over. The storyline is over, and now the next thing that we have to pivot to is people that talking about, is who the hell is going to move from potential third base, second base to left field. I think it gets done this week. Just I'm sure Bregman's tired of waiting around, waiting for Boras to come back and say, "Oh, they're not going to give us what we want." I'm sure Bregman wants to go ahead and get this over with, know where he's going for spring training, and start putting in the work. I think it gets done this week. I'm going to say Thursday.
All right. Well,
That's a pretty good spread for us.
I can say one thing. When I'm going shopping at HEB this week, I'm going to be checking the salsa aisle to see if they put Breggy Bomb salsa back in there. And if they did that, then we're going to know.
Yeah, no, they're going to wait for it to get done first. They're going to confirm. They're going to wait. Hey, all I know is that the second the trade gets done, we're going to El Tiempo and we're going to celebrate by getting some of those Breggy quesadillas.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Hell yeah. So look, our rotation, we'll got a few more minutes, but our end of the rotation, what does it look like? Hader, Abreu moves up from 7 to 8. Taylor Scott's your 7th inning guy now? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you look at what you have. I mean, I think obviously not Presley. Hader's going to be your closer, obviously. Then you'll move Abreu to number 8. And then I think Taylor Scott showed you enough last season. As long as he's not overworked, that he could be your 7th inning guy. And then your 6th and then 5th should be a hodgepodge between Caleb Bort. Now that the news is official, which I told you I'd read like a handful of weeks ago, McCullers and Garcia are not going to be ready by what did they say? Opening day? Is that what they said, or they said spring training?
Opening day.
Opening day. Okay, so I feel like you still need to. I mean, the fact that I don't know, this shit's getting old with McCullers. Him not being ready. I mean, all I know is that when he comes back, he better be a damn near Cy Young candidate because that arm hasn't thrown in 4 or 5 years now. So now I feel
Feels
like
like it.
now you have to make. I feel like now you need to make another small signing to bring in another pitcher. You need a long reliever. You can't go into 2025 like you did last season with no long reliever, and you're going to run these relievers into the dirt because they're throwing 3-4 times every 5 games. So I don't know.
But there's still
I like to
Graveman out
see.
there. Kendall Graveman. Like what's I haven't heard a peep about that guy.
Neither have I.
No, because
I haven't.
he's still hurt though. He's still hurt. I don't even know if he'll be ready by opening day. So why are you going to spend the money on a guy who's not going to be ready for opening day? I mean, if you're going to go sign somebody, then they better be ready for spring
But
training.
we only had him for a year. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
I thought we signed him on a
traded
3-year deal, or it was like a 2-year with like an option for a third. Am I crazy?
No, so we had him. He got. We didn't re-sign him. I think he signed with the White Sox for 2 years or 3 years. Played the first year with Chicago. Then we traded for him, and then his shoulder exploded, and then we never.
Which
saw
would
him
have been last year. Would have been last
would
year.
have been last year. Yeah.
So if it's
So
an
he's-
option, there hasn't been any news about
No, it
player
wasn't an
picking it
option.
up or the team. So if it's a third year, then we still have him.
No, so his third year was last season.
So here's another question that I'm thinking of right now, and I don't know the answer to it, but I know we picked Hector Neris off of the scrap heap from Chicago last year and got him back on the team. But do we still have him under contract, or is he a free agent?
No.
Or what happened?
He's
to
free
him?
agent.
He's a free
Okay.
agent.
So Hector
I mean,
Neris
we have
is another
Montero.
possibility.
Yeah, we have Montero.
I thought we got rid of Montero.
No.
This-
Yeah,
this
we
is
got
his
rid of him.
third
Now he's
year.
playing for Sugarland.
Yeah.
This is his last year of his deal.
Yeah.
I mean, your only other option is if you need a long reliever. I mean, you're looking at
He needs to go
either
stay in
AJ
Bagwell's
Bluebaugh
guest
or
balls.
you're looking at Colton Gordon. That's it. Because now
But
your
you're gonna
rotation
have
is Fromber. What is it? Fromber, Hunter Brown, Blanco, Arrighetti, and then Wisniewski.
Yeah. So
That's it.
there's
your
JP
5.
France coming back. You've got Luis Garcia coming back. LMJ coming back maybe on the third one. But the first two, they'll
Chris
be
and
back at
Javier.
some point. And Javier's coming
At
back.
some point.
At some
Yeah,
point.
but
Yes.
But all these guys, like, who do they say? One of them said, I don't know if it was Javier. It was Javier. They asked him during FanFest that he said he's looking at like the trade deadline. So I don't know if he's ready to do a rehab assignment or
activities.
He's planning on, or baseball activities. I mean, I don't know what that means, and it's not like the Astros have been forthcoming with their information.
There was an article on the Score.
If we didn't learn
saying
anything
that
last year,
there was an article
No,
on
go
the
ahead.
Score that saying Javier was going to be back after the All-Star break, like pitching.
yeah.
No, I mean, I'll take that too. I mean, but like, you still got to band-aid it for the first 3 months of the season.
Yeah, good.
No,
point.
you're right. You're right.
And God forbid one of those arms get hurt. I mean,
I don't even know why
I think
put
you
that
need to
out there
go.
right now.
I'm just saying, man. It's like, it's great that we're gonna go, potentially go get Bregman. I mean, but if you can't learn from your mistakes from last season with not having the pitching depth, then we're gonna have guys like Hensley that gets called up and gets completely mutilated in the first inning. I mean, I still think there's at least a couple of decent arms you could sign as a long reliever just to save your bullpen. And then if somebody gets hurt in the rotation, then you rely on your younger kids. You rely on Gusto. You rely on Bluebaugh. You rely on Gordon. Those are your guys you call up. But you got to have a long reliever in this bullpen. You can't go another season with these pitchers getting grounded into the dirt with innings and innings and innings. You can't do that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, yeah, I think we still got more. Look, we still clearly have more questions about the pitching and the bullpen, what we're going to do. But, news of the day is Presley has been shipped off to the Cubs. He will be reunited with Tucker. We'll send some cash their way, $5.5 million of it. And we get a low A young right-hand pitcher. So we'll see what comes up with that guy. But look, that's going to be it for us tonight. We will be back at our regular regularly live episode on Thursday. As always, I am PK. That's Chris, and that's Bryles. And you guys are listening to the Juice Box Heroes. Y'all have a good one.